it would have been pretty much just a, like, you are a just rugged, badass commando man who can just rip and tear through anything. The problem being is that, again, you are time is quickly going. So it's, squad of similar individuals, purpose built to build a task as a human-sized cannonball. But the idea is that you start off very unified because everyone has their fetters with each other, but slowly and steadily your squad will begin to drift apart, break apart as you begin sacrificing important things and memories and thing. Which one of the big inspirations for Battalion Z was actually, I can see it in my head. I can see it right there. Spec Ops: The Line. Spec Ops: The Line is actually one of my favorite games, and I adore that game. And one of the big things in that, and one of the parts that I adore most about it, is that the game changes the dialogue very actively, like in the middle of combat. Right at the beginning of the game, it's very tactical. Shoot that person, shoot this person. Use this, advance on here. But by the end, you have Captain Walker literally just shouting, "Get the fuck over there! Fucking kill that guy!" Blowing hell and back. Like, it's very informal, and so as effectively how you would portray this is your fetters with your squad are rapidly depleting. Their memories and their ideas are quickly dissipating. One of the big things, though, is that in a mixed group, you take on a very different role, and that role is very much as a protector. As you are a protector, and you are a individual who is pretty much tasked with performing a very specific goal. And it might be to protect a doll like that. I need to protect this young creature, this innocent creature, to make sure that she doesn't, she is not annihilated. And I may only have, a little while to do such. And I wanted to kind of play on that. You take this parental role, but this parental role is a temporary one. Everyone's gonna witness you go away differently. Some people might, weep and gnash their teeth. Other of them might be happy that you're gone, that you finally found peace. You know, your goal may be simply protect them until you no longer can. Uh, I should say. Your goal is to simply protect them until you no longer can. You die doing what you must do. That's kind of the core idea. Classes, they take up any class. But the idea is that they cannot take dual classes. So they're going to go hardcore into one single class. Nothing more, nothing less. Now, what does this actually mean? That if we go to the class section here, we do data, filter view, create filter view, and we go to class. They can take all of these. Because one of the big things is that you take every single one of them. You take every single class skill right off the bat, but you lose them all very gradually. Some of them are a little bit easier to do it than others, but others, things like extreme mutation, if your extreme mutation goes away, you lose a tier 3 part. Shit just fucking falls off you. Because your body is breaking down. Others of them are a little bit odd, like, oh, you're mutated during battle phase, you hit with a tech that's not real critical success. Your body is breaking down, like as a Baroque. That's the problem. And the big thing, too, is that you also get their special right away, i.e. things like Mutated Being. And if we look to Gothic, they get the, Veracity, Regenerate, Reinforcement parts that was damaged. They also get things like Vortex of Destruction. They choose to be psychedelic. Is that they are incredibly powerful, but they are going to slowly die. They're losing skills very quickly. And that's, take all their skills of their class immediately. However, during the end phase, the soldier will remove a class skill. Pretty much at the end phase, you have to make a decision which class skill goes away. I thought about making this at the start of the next phase, but I'm like, no, that's something like your body is breaking down. But actually, let me see real fast. Start of each session. Actually, start of each should be adventure phase. Yeah. At the start of each adventure phase, a memory goes away. So it's kind of that idea, like at the start of a mission, you're going to have to sacrifice relentless willpower or fetters because you're kind of not remembering them. But at the very end, after the battle phase, during the end phase, you remove class skill. That's kind of the back and forth Unu. That's very sad. Now, basic part reinforcement parts, you get +1 entrails and +1 bones. That's pretty much it. Still one in your leg, one in your gut, and you also get a relentless willpower in 2 sections. All this does is you trigger it during any phase, and it reduces the AP cost of skill by 2, but you break relentless willpower. What does this mean? You may wonder. What it means is you can use abilities that would normally completely just actually. I should say, let's say relentless can be triggered to reduce AP cost of skill or maneuver to 0. That's the entire idea. You're pretty much breaking this ability to reduce everything down to 0, but you break this willpower that gets a little bit harder. So pretty much twice you can use your biggest attacks almost twice in a row, doing some pretty meaty damage. Actually, of a maneuver, we'd only want to do a maneuver. Now, big thing is that you also get +2 chosen reinforcement part categories. To 2, you have +2 to 2. So you actually get quite a bit of parts. You're gonna get 4 extra parts over the addition of the basic 5, I believe. However, again, they cannot gain any additional points in the reinforcement part categories. You get what you get and nothing else. Now, the big thing is you have treasured memories, and ever lose all their fetters, they succumb to the Necromancer's will, collapsing into a pile of carrion. Any surviving companions can always keep their memories of the soldier as a fetter, though. They will never lose their fetter with the person. Fetters are during significant events, they may also choose the refusal to die, which this is kind of like a thing for the GM to give out during moments of, hey, you really want to stick around. I think the story is really interesting to you, but you're pretty much you're fucked at the end of this by just how things panned out. I'm going to give you this refusal to die. But if you succumb to your madness with it, you get acceptance. I've been dead 90 years. Today's the day I live. Increase maximum action point by 3. At the end of battle phase, remove this fetter and add 2 madness to each other fetter, which is pretty fucking bad. Like, it's very bad. Oh, somebody's asking about someone's asking about the Rifts video game. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. If you ever want, true curse, fucking Nokia put out the N-Gage, and that's where Kevin decided to put the Rifts game. Only on the N-Gage. Nothing else. No one knows why. I've seen, little artworks of this, little bits and pieces of art. We're going on a tangent now, because, let me see, Rift's Promise of Power. Because this is impossible to find, mind you, but this is what the game looked like, and it was awesome. I wanted this so badly, got no idea. But, here, give me 1 second, I got it. Yeah, no, the only footage you can really find is someone literally filming themselves on an N-Gage. It's great. But yeah, that is pretty much Battalion Z in a nutshell. They weren't. The entire idea is that they are very temporary and they are going to rapidly cease to exist. But it's about the journey and what you do on that journey. Now, we also have, we're going to do one more today, which is going to be the non-human auxiliary troops. Ooh. So, yep, that's the plan for today. We're going to do that one, and then I get to try to do math. Yep, that's what it's going to be. It's going to be me attempting math. Give me 1 second. Yeah, no, I always forget that Aaron Tarn, fucking Kevin Sabeda's, OC, the greatest woman of all time in the Rifts universe, uses a goddamn Nokia phone. I always forget that part of it, and I always wonder. Um, Let me see. We want to do non-human auxiliary troops. Non-human auxiliary troops. I always want to put 2 L's. Every single time I want to put 2 L's in auxiliary. I always think auxil and then lurry. That's why I always say. I don't know why. Damn this English of mine. We need to go up here. I just need to double check. Okay, let me just open up my... Let's open up the science fiction and post-apocalypse. Hit the N button. And let me see, is this opening? There. Now the cursed thing is I actually have this flipped on the other side. So this is not actually how I'm viewing things. I'm looking at the opposite direction. Because I don't know why I always type better on the left than on the right of my screen. I don't know why that's the case. It just is. So, hello utility class junk and your boot knife. Don't worry about that. You're a valuable member of the team. So, we need to start up here. So, the big thing is we have to worry about, actually, we should go over non-human auxiliary troops. So, during the lead up, science relies heavily on individuals willing to sacrifice themselves for the greater good. But before heroes can rise, often animals are used in their stead. The corpse manipulation technique was no different. What started with rats and small mammals quickly escalated into any and every animal as the war heated up. If it could breathe or have life, it could become undead. It could become undead and be used against the enemy. As the war developed, the value of these troops gradually diminished. Let's see, the value of these troops gradually diminished. Serving in auxiliary roles, or as grim as macabre cavalry, or serving as macabre cavalry for human undead. The beasts of burden. Let's see, the beasts of burden, which science rests its head upon. The beasts of burden, which science rests its head upon, had been left at the wayside of progress and forgotten until you desperate times comes desperate measures, and necromancers in their darkest moments, or most actually precarious situations may rely on among man actually on animals and creatures to form their horde. You are these animals. Lab rat, lab born and died in a lab. You are resurrected in a new world, one just as strange as before, but instead of one just as strange as before, you must survive. You must survive and thrive. Bottom up. Oh Lord. Oh God. Oh God. There's talking about the vaccine in my chat. Oh Lord. Oh Lord Almighty. Don't. Oh God. Let's see. Precarious situations, auxiliary troops, cavalry for the macabre. You must survive. You must survive in this world of ruin and destruction. You may not be the most capable, but your mind is honed with thousands of years of evolution and instinct. Because now the big one with this is based entirely off a single replay of the bonobos, which are great apes, but we obviously want to do something else. I want to be able to play a fucking dog with a gun strapped to his skull, because I am a weird person. So, what I'm going to do here, we're going to go here, we're going to open up this, and we are going to... So, the first things first is, we're going to call this desires, actually, how do I want to do, yeah, instinctual memory. Animals are noted to have incredible memories. That's sometimes. That's incredible memories sometimes. Being able to see and think, able to understand the natural world around them. While the dolls scrounge for fragments of their old memory, while dolls scrounge for fragments of their old memories, you don't really need to. Your memories are broken apart, yes, but replaced with a desire to learn more and survive this world. You must look to the future. You must look to the future and not dwell on the past. When choose a goal and desire. Choose a goal and desire. These are usually going to be tied to the animal in question. But sometimes may be modified due to the extensive work done by the CMT, corpse manipulation technique. CBT. Knitting zombies, my friend. Yes, this is actually the final day, Dragoon. It's pretty much going to be this. I just need to get the animal section done. Once the animal section is done, I'm going to be moving on to the equation, which that one's going to be a bitch, by the way. Let me just iterate that. That's just going to be a pain. Because what the equation is effectively going to have to be is I want to make a method for people to design their own parts with relative ease. Because that's one of the hardest parts about the game in general, is that it is very, I won't say well balanced, but very caught in itself sometimes. And even the Nechronica community says, do not make your own parts. There was literally no reason to. So I'm effectively going to attempt a method to allow people to design their own parts or design things that they would want to make. It may not be perfect, but it should give something to work with, because sometimes people just want to make their own thing, and sometimes that's fine. And I like people when they create things for the sake of creating something, because that is something inherently human. And if you notice, a lot of these aren't actually a lot of these aren't parts necessarily. The only one with like the major parts is this one, Blast from the Past. But this is made by one of the people who effectively said never change anything in the game because it's fine, and they memorized literally every single part in the game, which they cannot be trusted with anything. And there isn't actually that many things like, but there's some things that are fun and some things that aren't. One thing I need to do actually is I need to go through every single one of these and add these to my big spreadsheet, which is going to be and I do quote this in the nicest way possible, a pain in the goddamn ass. So let's see. Work by the CMT. That's kind of your driving force. So positions. Oh, I didn't mean to click that button. Oh God, sweet Jesus. Sweet mother of God. Okay, click, there we go. Positions. Animals may adopt any position of their choice. However, certain animals are a bit more suited for it than others. A crow may be a delightful court, but perhaps not the best holic. Play it by ear and understand understand what you are as well as who you are. Because pretty much what I want to be is that you're going to be playing any kind of animal. So surely your whole ad group endeavor is a big enough change that it would warrant an exception. exception to people whining. Oh, this entire project, like like when I was talking to people about it, like this entire project, they were actively trying to discourage me against doing a lot of this because they like there's no reason to. So yeah, like uh that's why it was one of those things. Like I remember once there was one like somebody was asking actually that I thought it was hilarious was like, oh, how do I make my own parts? And someone actually asked this, and they're like, well, you don't need to do it, and you shouldn't add things for the sake of adding things, and that's bullshit. And I told them straight up, being like, I should have a way. My idea to how to actually like make new parts and stuff isn't that complex. It's mostly going to be like a point-based thing, but it's mostly just going to be about doing it. But I mean, this is a very tightly designed game, and I can understand why not adding adding things. Vocal purists, very much so. But this is also, if you go along the idea that a lot of these guys have been working on this game. Let me see real fast. A lot of these guys have been working on this game since. Let's see. This says 2017, but this has been going on since like probably 2013. People have been with this game for almost a decade at this point. Some people, like the really hardcore people, with a lot of them entering in about 2015, 2016. Like these are like 5 years worth of people being very invested in this game, who know every single part of it, who understand, who've run hundreds of games of it, who and mind you, these are the same people who are very adamant about when you say like it's hard to pitch this game to people. Like, no, 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 it's fine, it's easy, it's great. Not they. It's you become so invested in something that sometimes you become a little blind to it. What's the? I think it would be seeing the forest through the trees. I believe would be the correct term for it. They Yeah, it is because this is one of the major, I mean, absolute major translation projects for a JTRPG, and like this one was a very big one because it was it kind of resonated with some people. I think there was probably a start to it with like it's the weird zombie lolly game, but it kind of developed over time as people just become more and more ingrained in it. However, there's a reason that the book looks like this, with a fucking table, circa, a goddamn Google Docs table, or, the reason why, like, everything looks jank as fuck. Yeah, let me go all the way down. Like, there's a reason these are what the basic parts look like. And, like, this is the formal, super cool PDF, like, or how there are some very odd wordings and things like that, because it's been translated, and that's just what happens. I'm not saying it's like they're wrong and bad and should go away to the sadness place. No, it's just you work on something for so long with so many people involved. Eventually, things get a little bit complicated to really fix or make better. So this entire project is me effectively not really demonizing the game, but more tearing it apart with a fine tooth comb that they're not willing to do sometimes. Because I am a horrible human being and I hate everything. Because I am literally an amoral psychopath. That is the answer. Okay, what you are as well as who you are. So we need to do companions. Companions. Animals adopt families. Animals adopt families. These are often their own people they were resurrected with even the most solitary of creatures tend uh, let's see, even the most solitary of creatures tend to be incredible. Even the most solitary of creatures tend to bond closely with their own kin. A united front against predators is a stronger front than being alone. And in this world, there is nothing but predators. Animals with mixed groups. Mixed groups tend to adopt a particular role of inside of it. They may be able to speak or may not be able to. But their connections and bonds are just as strong. Multiple animals may even form impromptu alliances to survive. Symbiosis in times of crisis is what it can. Let's see. Symbiosis in times of crisis can save lives, but never erase that innate desire. Hello, phone. Go away to the sadness place. Yeah, I can't remember, I can't remember where I got it, but I think it was from like a budget horror movie. But I say that right now to go away to the sadness place. It's probably something in Twin Peaks. I've watched Twin Peaks too many times. There's a little bit of note lore for all y'all. I watched Twin Peaks is a fantastic show, and you should all watch it, including the movie. The movie's even better, in my opinion. Oh, Jesus. Oh, no. Why are people posting things in my Discord? Why are you all the way that you all are? Uh, Kids have the worst, because the thing is, kids have the words that they want to say, and they understand what the context they understand what the words mean, but sometimes they don't understand how to string them all together. So it's like, I'm going to throw you into the street, and a car would hit you, and now you would break. And then you have the string pull. Yeah, it's kids say the weirdest shit. Yeah, it's just the break you. You could hear it. You could hear the violin screech as he said it too. That's the part that is chef's kiss. See, I've been waiting for the time some Bloomhouse movie decides just to get one of their kids to write a script for them. Like, hello child, what do you think is the scariest thing in the world? And be like, all right, we're just gonna write a horror movie based on whatever my kid decided was scary today, with all their incredibly weird lines. I think that was the reason why what was it? It was Inheritance. It? I want to say it was a movie called Inheritance or something. It had a little weird looking little girl in it. That movie's that movie's creepy. Some of the lines of that, no, no, no. Class. Animals similar to their positions. Adopt classes. Adopt classes like adopt classes that fit who they are, as well as what they are. With the extensive modifications, with the extensive modifications, they also they may also find themselves with additional parts that assist them in their mission. However, let's see. The main class of the animal is what truly defines them, as it symbolizes potentially what their options are. Options are for, actually, now do I want to do that? Because one of the big things with this is that I want it to be able to be like, I want to play a dog, I want to play a cat, I want to play a lion, or it's like, I want to play a dog, I want to play a lion, and someone else wants to play a raven. Those are three animals that are very different, but all of them have very different and unique ideas to them. So it's like, yeah, like the dog is a lot smaller than the lion, but the lion isn't going to get like, but the dog isn't going to get hit as much, and maybe has a little bit more going for them, while the lion has its own issues. So that's why it's like, I have a few ideas how to do that. I thought about putting in the class section, but now additional parts for system in their mission, in their quest for survival. Okay, so next we need to do, because like, I think though, like, it should work, because I'm scared, like, I don't want someone to be like, oh, I'm a fucking dog, but I'm also I'm also a requiem who just has guns strapped to it. That'd be, well, it would be hilarious. So skills. Technically, no. Well, sort of. They sort of have animals. In more specific, they have a single animal, which is a small undead pet acting as your treasure. That's really it. The only one that really has it is, let me see, Nechronica. Actually, no, I know I put it in here. Let me just scroll up here for a bit. There we go. This is actually from a replay, which in Japan is actually a fairly common occurrence, which is pretty much it. In Japan, like, a replay is a fairly common occurrence, and what they are is somebody writes down and kind of bookifies, I guess you would call it, a campaign or like a session or two. There's actually been a few of these replays which have gotten pretty popular by themselves. I think we would call them an actual play here, kind of like a beat by beat of like what occurred. And one of the more famous ones for Nechronica anyway was this one, which where where the players were bonobos, which is a kind of great ape. We would call them something like chimpanzees, and that's what they played as. Like, they played as these monkeys in a lab, and they tried to break out. That was like the entire story. Played it raw, effectively, because you could, because the way they looked. I want to add in lit RPGs are. It's a little bit different. Little bit, not much. But, like, yeah, lit RPGs, I could see. See, I'm surprised those haven't really, like, taken off in the past couple years. Like, I know in Russia they are massive. Like, that's how you just make bank in Russia, is with lit RPGs. Like, and I think we're seeing a little bit of it here because, like, everybody wants to be the next Critical Role. And I'm kind of surprised why people haven't been going down this path, you could say, a little bit more. But I think people are just like, for all the lip service people like giving them, mind you, they're like, I'm a proud nerd and I like to play D&D. I think a lot of people don't want to, like, actually tell people they do. I think there's a lot of like, well, I do it, but I don't want to tell anybody. Like, I don't want to, like, actually, like, show anybody. And they say it on the internet. And I'd be, There's actually the one I know, the one big replay. There's two big replays that people probably know about. If you've ever heard of Record of the Lotus War, that was effectively a replay of the writer's D&D campaign, like legit D&D campaign. Yeah, yeah, nerd flag, very much so. But yeah, Record of the Lotus War. Deedlit was his character, the elf woman in that one, and the other big one that's coming out soon. Yeah, Record of the Lotus War. That was a replay. That was the guy's campaign. It was original. I want to say it wasn't D&D. I think it was I want to say it was second edition, but it may have been AD&D, like the original. I can't remember. Again, I want to say second edition, but or my may not or the basic D&D. But yeah, no, Record of Lotus War was his. Like those are all his friends' characters, and all the way they're acting were how his friends acted. And that's why Deedlit acts kind of weird sometimes, is because that's why he was playing her. That's his waifu. And as a perpetual joke, it's like that is his waifu. Uh the other big one that is coming out hopefully soon, I'm actually kind of excited for it, is this company wants to adapt The Mountains of Madness. And you may be wondering, The Mountains of Madness, you mean the Lovecraft story? And like, yes, but it's going to be a replay of The Mountains of Madness. And I've gone over this a few times on here, but like that one I'm actually kind of excited for because it seems interesting. OBS, don't you dare fucking crash. OBS, okay, good. Yeah, the Mountains of Madness one I'm kind of interested for. They were doing crowdfunding for like a big anime for that. That's what they wanted to do. So I'm hoping like that comes out. I'm interested. Man, I'm like, there's a few of these books, mind you, that come out. Usually every year there's at least a couple. Necronica's no different. It's got a few. One of them being bonobos. Bonobos. Bonbons. Monkey. Return to monkey. Monkey. Okay, so what we want to do, skills. Yeah. Skills are standard acquired with no major changes. Keep in mind which ones are chosen to better reflect the the base instinctual desire of the animal in question. Really, there's no changes that you really need to do with that. So, however, basic and reinforcement parts. This is where things get a little bit weird. So, what we need to do here is, outside of the basic reinforcement parts, as given by their classes, the animals are divided in both looks and body structure. It's hard to strictly classify every animal to be same. Let's see. Some animals such as chimpanzees or gorillas maintain a relatively how do I want to word this, relatively humanoid appearance. 2 legs, 2 arms, and everything else. Other animals are a bit more complicated. To represent this, here here are the basic rundown of parts for quote major types of animals. So, what kind of animals do we need to think of? Well, we first need to think of what is the correct term? It would be a quadrupedal? Yeah, quadrupedal, quadrupedal animal. Okay. Let's see. So, we have a quadrupedal, quadrupedal. The animal uses four legs for movement, taking the place of their hands of any type of arms. Animals here instead place all arm parts in their torso, but remove we go here. Which ones do we need to remove? But remove fist, forearm, and shoulder basic parts. Actually, I'm gonna use four legs for movement. Yeah. So, four legs for any type of movement, in place of any type of arms. These creatures are sometimes fairly large. Actually, range from small to large, and can take many different and are incredibly common. So, our major things that we got to think about. So, if I can click on the right parts, please let me click on the right windows for once. So, let me think. We need to worry about... So, first things first. Well, I'll say, okay, we have to remove fist, forearm, and shoulder. Actually, would we remove shoulder? No. Remove fist and forearm as basic parts. Add in as basic parts. Add in. What we would need to do is add in two bones. And a foot. Add a foot as basic parts. So we remove fist and forearm, but we get two more bones and a foot to compensate, which is pretty good. We get a lot more options, but again, all arm parts are instead directed at the torso, or head. Very different. All arm parts are instead located in the torso or head. Okay, so that's how quadrupedal, and we should do, what is the correct term for a snake? What would we call a snake? Snake TM. Hello, small snake. No, I don't. I just want to Google what a snake is on Wikipedia, please. I just need to find out, like, what the correct fucking term for them would be. Squamata? Scaly having scales. Order of reptiles. Ectothermic internal physiology. Aminote. No, limbless. Adorphus. That's the correct term, a Dorfus. Evolved limbless or a Dorfus. So a Dorfus is definitely so we need to adapt. We need to put in the Dorfus option. Dorfus. The animal does not have any limb. Does not have any limbs. Instead, propelling itself forward by the use of its muscular form. Remove all fists. Remove all parts from the. No, we wouldn't need to do that. We need to go here. What do we need to remove? So, from its muscular form. So what we need to do is we need to remove fist, forearm, shoulder, because these things don't really have fucking shoulders. We need to remove bone and foot. Actually, no, we just need to and foot. Remove foot. Add bone. Two entrails. And a what would be a good one? I guess we'd have to add in, add a bone, two entrails, and plus one mutation part. I think, yeah, another mutation part would kind of reflect. Let's see, what are the ramifications of being a quadruped on, like, the rest of the game? Are there non-combat bits of the game? There are non-combat bits. Technically, there is the adventure phase, quote unquote. Base game adventure phase is roll a d10 anytime something occurs and put a part in. And you can gamble a part to add another die to it. The adventure phase of the game is actually not very extensive. However, the big thing being is that most of the parts are tied to limbs, and that's how damage is actually done to limbs and particular areas. So taking 2 damage to your arms is very different than taking 2 damage to your legs, which is how all damage is calculated, because you don't have HP or anything in this game, it's just things getting tore off. So even just the fact of me saying, hey, remove your fist and your forearm, that's a pretty big deal all of a sudden, because suddenly, well, I don't have effectively 2 health in my arms, but I have, but I had 2 bones and a foot, so it's little things. Actually, this should just be one entrail, an entrail. Add a bone, entrail, and plus 1 mutation part. It's mostly derived from how health is. So all arm parts are instead located in the torso or head, and all leg parts are instead located in the torso. And that'll be something you gotta really kind of manage there. Though if you are going to, someone says, I want to play a Dolphins creature, I want to play a fucking snake, what you're going to do is say, okay, you're going to play a large snake and be a goddamn giant mutated anaconda, and just get a shit ton more health by virtue of just having more entrails, which do nothing. So let's see, it would be, we need Avian. Would that be the correct term? What would be... No, avian is correct. The animal has a makeshift wing, has wings instead of traditional arms, allowing it to freely fly through the air, or not. No one ever said that evolution was fair. So if you want to play a chicken, that is entirely possible. So one thing we have to do is we have to remove, what do we have to remove here? We mostly need to remove fist. Remove fist. We can keep the forearm. Actually, yeah, remove fist and a bone. Remove fist and bone because you're a little bit less. That's because you're a bird, and guess what? Birds aren't exactly what we would call the most enduring creatures in the world, and they're going to add. Where is it? Wings. I know you have wings. Oh, you lie to me. It would be a mutation. Mutation, decent animal ears, legs, bloodstained bloods, boy, chameleon, claws. Does it not have wings? Oh, Jesus, I'm gonna have to add the wing mutation, aren't I? Yeah, I don't see it here. Did you add it in here, maybe? This is the... No. Okay, there's no wings. Okay, I have to add a wing part then. That's telling me I need to add wings! So, let me see where we need to go. So, let me see. What would be another... Like, I want to do vertebrae, obviously. Like, I can't really... Yeah, you want to play on land. I'm good. I'm not that good. We're not going to... Yeah, I don't think I'm going to really handle, like, fish or anything like that. Because, if someone says, I want to play a fish, and it's not a very specific kind of campaign, you punch them in their fucking face. You just deck them right in the nose. Because they are a threat against humanity. Let's see. We want to do this. And we need to make this your arms. Your arms, and we'll do wings. Actually, Avian Wings. Actually, I don't even really need to worry about that. So we're going to do timing. Timing, action, cost 2, range self. Yeah, and then this is going to be move 0, move 1, move 1 dash, move 1 dash 3. Move 1 dash 3. Cannot move through. Yeah, actually. Yeah, move 1 to. Yeah, actually, move 1 to 2. Actually, 1 dash 2. Let's see. Move 1 dash 2 can move. Oh, can move over enemy. Can move over enemies. And then we need to do that as flight. And then we have to do powerful wings propel you forward. Even if you forward into a brighter day. Actually, we should say is move 1 to 2. Hinder move is double effective. There we go. So you can actually cover the entire field if you really want to. However, if someone has a hinder move 1 on you, they have a hinder move 2 on you, which is pretty bad. Kind of getting a big gamma world with all these weird bits. Yeah, it is. Like, there are, I think, in total, let me see, the full total amount of them is, if I go all the way down here, there are 118 parts that you can mix and match to make your ideal doll. And if you factor in, like, this is just with one of the fan expansions in it. Just one fan expansion. This adds in a total of 149 parts to play around with. Because I have treasure in here, and treasure doesn't really count. I have treasure in here? No, yeah, I have treasure in here. So about 149 parts. 150. And you can really mix and match in Nechronica. And this is like one of the main biggest appeals of Nechronica, is that you can very much mix and match and really make your ideal thing occur. I'm gonna bump up the cost up there a little bit just because of how valuable this is. So Avian Wings, flightless. Flightless, we're going to do cost 1, and that's going to be on check. Range self, and is going to be hinder 1. No, it would be, yeah, no, actually that would be action hinder 1. Hinder 1. These wings may not be able to let you soar through the air, but they can save you. They can save you in desperate straits. And that's going to be range. We're going to do range 0. And what these are going to be entirely tied to your size. So, actually, what I should do, so add Avian Wings flight for small birds. Small avians, or Avian Wings flightless for large birds. For actually small to medium. Medium for 2 large, 2 giant avians. That's pretty much it. Those are the main types. We don't really need to worry about much else. So, if we just select everything there. Instinctual memory. Heading 3. Incredible. Oof. I want to get this little part done, because if I get this part done, I don't have to think about it too hard. Like, adding some of these are pretty simple, because it's like, yeah, just play the fucking game normally. Like, if you just play the game normally, just add in a different coat of paint, it'll work just fine. Sometimes it gets a little bit more complicated, though. You know, case in point here, which I'm just going to do my office. I'll probably organize these later to make them actually alphabetical, because remember everyone, the alphabet is there for a reason. Love the alphabet, it saves lives. So we're going to do that. Oh wait, gotta add this. Okay, so finally choose the size of the animal. These range from small to huge, to giant. These range from small to giant, reflecting how large and impressive they are. So we're just going to do Control-Shift-8. So small get they get a -1 entrail, but but a plus and but a -2 to strike to hit them. Actually, they get -2 entrails. 2 entrails. -2 entrails, -1 to all reinforcement parts. But a -3 to hit them. So actually, it would be, yeah, you need a 9 or 10 to hit them because they're a small animal. There's a that's like a bird-sized bird. 10 grams? Well, obviously, I gotta Google that. I never heard of one of those. Tangrams? Oh, those? Oh, yeah. Fuck you, though. Like, I'm the kind of person who can never solve these kind of things because I'm really bad at kind of sorting them out sometimes. And sometimes my spatial set, it always messes me up because I always try to go for, like, the easiest way possible. And that's not how you do those. I know my friend has been absolutely devious. Medium, no change. Large, they get +1 entrail. +1 entrail. +1 to 1 reinforcement part. But a +1 to hit them. So they need to kind of hinder people if they don't want to be hit on a 5 or higher. 5 or higher, and then we're going to have huge, which is going to get +2 entrail, +1 to all reinforcements parts, but a +3 to hit them. So that would be on a, so it's a 6 or higher, so that would be a 5, 4, 3. It would be a 3 or higher. So pretty much you have to roll a 1 or 2 to not get hit as someone huge, which is really awful. Which is really bad for you. Yeah, and that could actually be pretty fun. Yeah, I would say, yeah, no, that could be actually be kind of interesting. I know me and some people in my Discord, we were having a discussion about non-dice stuff when it comes to resolution, because we were talking about how would you make a game in some place that doesn't like dice? So, and it was just like, well, you can go diceless, but it's like, well, we were going back and forth. That was actually kind of an interesting conversation. Dominoes was proposed a few times, so that could be interesting by itself. Oof, God, give me a second. One moment, everybody. Oh, God. No, I'm back, everybody. Oh, the runes, the D2s. I've seen people use D2s before. It's like coin flips. You gotta make it do something else than just a coin flip, though. Like I've usually like I know the one that kind of baffled me by how weird it was Maesta. We actually went over this on this stream actually once. Maesta uses a 2D2 system. That's all they use. It is the weirdest fucking game ever. Outside of its themes, just Maesta's themes can roughly be described as what the fuck, nani, huh? I'll have to remember. I'll have to note that one down. You know, just where have I seen this before? Where have I seen this before? I've seen this game before. Yeah. Huh. Gonna have to remember this one. Yeah, no, I'll put that on my... it sounds really familiar for some reason. I can't put my finger on why. I wonder if I had a Kickstarter and I just forgot about it. So, let's see. Entrails, small, medium, large, huge, 2 entrails, 20 force parts, but let's hit them. Okay. So, we gotta hit this button, we hit this button, we hit this button, no, this button, and this one. The other side has, you get this thing if you succeed, but... you doing good, however. So it's always the however with these things, isn't it? It's like, however. It's like, oh god. Would these have treasures naturally? Treasures or desires. In an animal may have a traditional treasure as a doll does. However, the animal in question should be something able to form strong bonds with an object or individual. Apes are common to animals that don't bond well with objects, or simply don't care. Now, yeah, strength, con, dex, wit is, yeah. You can add 3 more runes each, 2 stats. That's pretty good. Where am I? I've heard of it. That's the weird thing. I think it had a Kickstarter or something for it. To animals that don't bond well or simply don't care, they instead have desires. These desires act as a fetter, which they can freely use as fetter, but are required to choose it as, let me see, it would be a possessive action. But these require to be chose it as subservient to the desire. So it would be, during battle phase, all your failures tackle up to critical failures if you kind of break it. You become hopelessly evil. So you mean every single player character I have to deal with. I love my friends to death, but god, they are little psychopaths sometimes. Gotta clean my glasses off. I can't see jack shit. Once in a blue moon, I have to take my glasses off just to do things, and my instinct is to treat it as though they're always there. Oh, yeah. There we are. No, not perfect, but a little more. Subservient to the desire. Which is really bad because subservient, as you can see, subservient, if we go straight to here, as during all your attack checks become critical failures, which is very bad because you hurt yourself with it. Being pretty, you start in neutral, but you're in a lot of points for being very good or very evil. Too evil. If you become too evil, evil's like, calm the fuck down. Like, chillax, brother. Like, you are literally too evil for me. Isn't that the plot of Noblesse? Okay, let me do a double check. I need this to make sure. Treasured memories and fetters. Fetters act as normal. But oftentimes they are portrayed in odd ways. Animals reacting to their quote their human companions. Reacting to the human companions may seem odd or simply affectionate. And humans. The score sheet at the end of the game may be the worst ever. Isn't that usually? There's always one bit to those kind of games. There's always like one little thing like we don't know what we're doing here. That are human companions are simply, and humans may not understand how to fully understand their 2-ton gorilla cyborg companion. I've seen that in a few games before. Like, I see something like, man, this is really good, and then there's like one part you're like, who the fuck thought of this? What in God's name? Like, oh my god. There are 2-tons gorilla cyborg companion. Actually, let's do a little. I'm curious. How heavy can a gorilla be? So 600. So they can be about 590. So they're. So let's see there. I understand they're 600-pound gorilla cyborg. That's the big thing. It's like sometimes understanding them is going to be odd, but like everything operates the exact same. So that is all of the non-humans. I just have to add some images there. So our final bit, our absolute final bit, and what we're going to add is going to be the final bit. So actually, what we should say is the part equation. The equation for relatively balanced parts and other things. That's literally what the title of this section is going to be called. There's no other reason. There's no other way to really call it this. It's just going to be the part where we have to do an equation, because the base idea, because again, all of these parts, everything here, we really only have 3 major things to go off of. Like, actual things that we can, like, track easily. Is we have the tier, which is just how, when/how we get these. Because a tier 1 is, you're going to get tier 1s relatively common. You're always going to get a tier 1 enhancement. You're always going to get tier 1 this regardless. Tier 2 is you need to invest a little into it, or you need to have a class to get to it. If you select the right combinations, you can get a tier 3, but you might, starting out, you're going to get one tier 3. You're going to get maybe one tier 3, two tier 2s, and it's going to be one tier 3, one tier 2, and about 3 tier 1s. That's on average about what you're going to end up with. You can argue to get more, but getting more is going to be hard. So we have the tier locations aren't really that problematic. However, I'm going to put it in here as like something. I think that's going to be for like our. This is where we can spend points, because it's like having a part where you can put anywhere is actually pretty valuable, because you can assign it anywhere. Having something like it's only in your arms, only in your legs, only in your torso, that's actually kind of restricting, because it's like, okay, we can't really put, if I take damage there, it's always going to get go. So we have our timing, so it's going to be our location. Our location, our timing, and our big thing is the cost, otherwise known as the action point cost. Because overall, like in just how the game functions, there are exactly 3 parts. 3 parts in the entire game which are actually for cost. Only those. Those are the only 3 abilities in the entire game that cost 4. No more, no less. And I thought that was actually kind of fascinating, because, only, have these really high value. But it makes complete sense, because 4 is a lot of fucking points. Like, I don't think people quite understand, like, how valuable that is. Like, this one, with the expansion book, it adds 1 more. It adds exactly 1, in which you get a lunge with your mutation, which is not actually very good. Like, it's actually pretty bad. Like, position-wise, you don't, like, everything's 0, 0, or 1. Class-wise, everything is, I think you get 1 3. Yeah, you get 2 3s in here, and these are psychedelic classes. Like, these are fairly standard. Like, you don't, even increasing something to, like, 4 cost, 5 cost is, like, a major, like, should feel like a major cost that you have to pay. So those are these are the 2 ways we're going to be able to actually like get points to play around with. So you can't say, I want to be a tier 1 with cost 0. You're going to, like, you can do that, but you have to pay for it somewhere else. Like, you're going to have to get something out of it. Like, I'm curious, what tier 1, do we have any tier 1? So let's do tier 1, A to Z, and let's do cost 0. Tier 1, cost 0 are like right here. These are the ones we get, and some of these are we have all our core parts. Those are obvious, like what we have there. Like, that's, I am not fussed about those. Let's see, like karma processors, like that's a tier 1, but it doesn't really do anything. Maximum action points by 1. Maximum action points by maximum action points, or like a defend 1. Like, these actually don't have that high of value, or they have a gimmick tied to them. So that's something I gotta kind of consider. Alright. That's just not a thing I gotta worry about then. Alright. Alright. Let's do this right. So, how do I want to do this? So, Nechronica is built around one simple idea. Actually, one simple set of mechanics, and they are the parts. These parts form the absolute beating heart of this undead game. This undead game, forcing the players in a song and dance as they make sure something as they struggle to both manage their parts, find the best ones, and ultimately have them violently blown off. After questioning the devoted fan community, around Nechronica, I can safely say the following. Following. Don't make parts. Don't make parts. Because they really don't want you to. And Nechronica itself doesn't really want you to. Two. The parts present are a set of puzzle pieces. Designed to be fit together to satisfy Ryu's need. Each part has its purpose and can be easily refluffed as needed. As one diligent fan of the game said, don't create for the sake of creating. However, fuck that. Yep, let's see. Fuck that. The following is not the best way to design parts, nor is it the quote only way to design them. It is simply a method to gauge the power and value of certain parts. Each of the abilities that Ryu has put in the game are designed to fulfill things he needs to fulfill. Well, we're anarchic. We're filthy necromancers. But we're filthy necromancers. And the best thing we can do is start stitching terrible things to one another. Alright, so this is where things get a little bit complicated. So, effectively, how I'm viewing this is, since we have to work with the tiers, and the cost, those are our major things that we can actually work with as like a tangible resource, effectively. Now, the effects are going to be something we have to buy. Now, the big thing is effects we have to buy, range we have to buy, timing we have to buy, location we sort of have to buy. That's it. Sometimes we can just choose whatever the reinforcement is. So, like, for example, like one thing is, yeah, it's boot. So, the the philosophy of parts. Each part is composed of multiple facets. Facets that dictate how they function and how they are acquired. Some some may seem very powerful, but they are found in tier 3, or have a major action point cost, because on average, roughly speaking, on average, you're going to end up with about a maximum action point value of about 10, 11 if you really game it. Like, if you dump everything into it, you'll have about an action point value of about 11. And that's like, you have no other parts except action point parts. So average out about 9, 10 being your action points. So we have those as our basic action points. And the thing is, you can lose those pretty damn easily. Like, if I get my brained, I'm going to lose two of my maximum action points. That's now down to 7 maximum. Now, if I lose one of my abilities here, that might go down to 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Like, you can rapidly lose some of these parts, which is kind of the point, mind you. That's the point of the game, is that you're supposed to kind of, as you fight, you're getting worn down as parts get blown off. Now, one of the major parts about this game, the beautiful, beautiful disaster area, is that something high cost is actually usually pretty bad. So something that is like the rocket launcher may do 4 damage, but it also has a cost of 4. That's major. Yeah, you can blow off someone's limbs, but that's a 4 cost. If you only have 7 parts, you may only be able to act once or twice, while someone using more consistent abilities may be able to act 3, 4 times in a round, doing 2 damage. What's more valuable? 1 damage of 4, or 3 damages of 2? The numbers kind of add up and allowing you to kind of maneuver and act. So things like 5 cost is suicide. That's useless. Like, that really reduces the value down pretty significantly. But reducing things such as having multiple, having a 1 cost, something that's 1 cost, is actually pretty good. Like you can actually use it, and you're going to be acting on the next tick, suggesting you don't add more things. So that's kind of like, have major action point costs. So breaking down. So we want to breaking down a part. Breaking down a part is fairly simple. So we're going to break it down. So a reinforcement category. The reinforcements in the base game have. We want to go to tiers. We want to add in all our tiers again, and we want to add in our cost again. And we want to go to our mutations. We've got. Oh wait, I can just go down here. Ha ha ha. Let's see. Actually, no, that's not gonna work. These are all equal if I remember correctly, so I can just do this, and I just need to filter. Let's do armaments, because armaments are very simple. And let's see, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Actually, why don't I just do this data, and I want to do, not slicer, column stats. So column stats, we are going to have, we actually want to ignore row 1. So we have, why do we have, why is the distribution like this? This shouldn't be right. Why do we have more enhancements? That's not correct. Okay, now you're fixed. So every part has about 36, and these are divided into 36, 36, 36. So everything has 36 divided by 3 is 12. So, okay. So each reinforcement reinforcement of the game have 36 36 collective parts. 36 collective parts divided into 12 into 3 tiers with 12 parts each. With reinforcement based on 36 collective parts divided into 3 tiers and 12 parts each. These are only truly increased in major increments during the character creation phase during class selection. By default, you're going to have 5 of these. Often with only a single tier 3, tier 3, a tier 2, and a smattering of tier 1s. Again, it's kind of that idea of like you're going to be spread out very, very far. You're not actually going to get all parts. Like, it's impossible to get every single part in this game. Even if you could, like, that's not really good. Hello, Mr. Y. Pretty much what this is, like, what I'm going over right now is kind of like how the reinforcements are kind of split up and how they function. Because it's, there's a lot. In case you haven't realized, there are a lot of these, and I need to make sure that they all function properly. So our second one is going to be tier. Tier reflects how often and when the doll will receive her reinforcement parts. Higher tier parts are far more valuable or powerful than tier 1 or 2. However, they are often far more specialized. For example, we wanted to, here's a tier, okay. We know we want to do the anti-tank rifle. Actually, for example, let's see. We want to do, what's a tier 1? Do I have a tier 1 armament nearby? Yeah, okay. So, for example, the chainsaw is a tier 1 armament that deals a melee attack 2 plus dismember. Fairly valuable, if expensive. It's expensive at 3 AP. However, the tier 3 anti-tank rifle costs 4 AP and deals 5 damage. And deals 5, I believe, range damage. Yeah, range. And feels 5 range damage. Specialized for taking out a single high priority target. And yeah, some of these can be, because remember, you are going to have very few tier 3s. When you bring out the anti-tank rifle, you're not bringing out the anti-tank rifle because it's fun. You're bringing out the anti-tank rifle because there's a gigantic monster that wants to eat you in your face, and you need to kill it fast. And you damn well know it doesn't have a lot of defenses. But you may have a chainsaw and the anti-tank rifle together, because both of them serve different functions. If you're in melee, you're not going to use the anti-tank rifle. That thing is useless. You need to use the chainsaw and start chainsawing your way out of that. So it kind of depends on what you're playing and what you're going, because both of them serve very different functions. But you're going to use the chainsaw a hell of a lot more, because they're just more valuable. Or hell, even the axe, which costs 3, but it's a 3 melee attack. Like, oh, just right off the bat. Like, especially because the anti-tank rifle actually has a range of 1 to 3, which means you cannot be in melee with it, which is a pretty big deal, because you only have 5 spaces to work with, remember? Let's see. The anti-tank special only taking out single high priority targets. So we have the location. Location. This is where the part resides. Immediately. This may not seem terribly important. However, how damage is calculated by the hit location. So taking 3 damage to your arms could mean you no longer have access to any of your weapons. Focused and a clever, if sadistic, sadistic necromancer is going to target your parts and going to want to cripple you quickly. Especially if dismember is in play, where a single bad roll could mean the entire section goes away. Because that's the danger of dismember. That's the value of dismember as well. Be a December to dismember, yeah, pretty much. Because that's how dismember works. Is, oh no, I've been hit in my arms using a dismember attack. I need to make a dismember check. I rolled a 9. I don't lose every single part in my body. Because that's literally what dismember does. And that makes it very good, because you can just start tearing parts off. Could mean the entire section goes away. Wait, the entire section is locked off. Which, mind you, getting your legs tore off is a good way of not being able to move anymore. So we have timing. Timing is when the maneuver tied to the part can be triggered. And I need to double check something really fast. I need to get all my timings correct, because the timings sometimes get a little bit weird. And I'm very bad at remembering all of them. Where is... Make some action points, cost, using maneuvers. Count processing, where are the parts? Dismember, escape of the situation. This is what I mean by, like, sometimes finding shit in this book is impossible, because they don't actually do a very good job of that. Madness check, sent to the madness, broken hearts. Oh my god. It would be in, where would it be? It would be in maneuvers? Yeah, I think it might be in maneuvers. Okay, here are the timings. Okay. So, timing is when the maneuver tied to the part can be triggered. There are five technical. There are five technical timings. Five technical timings. Auto. The the maneuver is always active in one way or another. These are rarely anything. These are rarely anything that grants a major boon to the character, to the doll outside of additional action points. Let's actually, let's do a quick check. I want to do that. I want to check auto. What are things like auto, maximum action points, madness point, dismember effect is a conversation checks. Entrails are technically an auto. They don't do anything. Destroyed. Yeah, they're a lot of situational based. Okay. Very situational. So also additional action points or situational moments. Action. When the count matches your action points, you may declare to use this particular maneuver. This is by far the most common of the maneuvers and parts. Check. This is used when anyone makes a check. And rolls the dice. Check and rolls the dice. Often this can be used in a positive manner to grant a +1 or +2, or in a negative for a -1 or -2. Just pretty much minor boons and banes. If we go to like what checks are, there are a grand total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 checks. And almost every single one of them is support 1 or hinder 1. Almost every single one of them is. And they are exclusively in two categories. That's it. And 2 basic parts. That is just how this game works. You don't make that many checks. So checks just are not common. So anyone makes a check. So damage. I used when a target has dealt when a doll or enemy has dealt damage. Actually, usable once. Usable once per turn. Has dealt damage, allowing them to augment their damage, increase the effects, add effects, or desperately attempt to defend themselves. Cells from attacks. 99% of Defend X maneuvers are during the damage phase. Rapid. The special timing, which can be used whenever someone declares. Which can be used can be used as both an action and it can be used both as an action and as its own unique thing. So, maneuvers of this time may occur before maneuvers they were declared in reaction to or override the results. These can be triggered to override results of certain checks, of certain actions, or certain actions defensively, or be used to defend, or be used to reposition themselves if need be. Very valuable, very dangerous. And rapid, how many rapids do we have? We'd have even less rapids. Like, most of these are things like, oh, you can hinder someone's movement right away, or you can move one just like right off the bat. It's like, nope, you're moving now. Mutual conversations, Psycho Blaster, hinder move, move one, blast attack two, which you can use as a. Yes, technically you can use the hand grenade to blow yourself up. Don't worry, Dragoon. I believe you're a very smart person. Yeah. Very valuable, very dangerous. Okay. Need to go here. Need to give it its own page. Need to put that right here. The philosophy of parts. This would be heading 2. Timing has to go into its own page. Maneuvers. So auto, action, check, damage, rapid. Both in action. So let's see. Then we have to do the AP cost. So action point cost. The action point cost is the most valuable aspect of the ability of the maneuver as it dictates how much of the limited resource the dolls must use to successfully use their maneuvers. A doll. So on average, a doll will have around 11 to 9 AP, around 11 to 9 AP if they invest wisely. Less if they don't. A 3 AP cost maneuver will reduce them quite quickly, as they will need to use some for augments as well as defensive checks. As well as defensive maneuvers. So let's see. Dolls will also lose maximum AP as the battle continues, forcing them to improvise with their tools. So as above, tier 3 actually as above, high cost parts require a very specific heavy investment investment to get something out of it. While a low cost part is something that will be used consistently, repeatedly in combat. Because you're going to go on every time you go on the count. Yeah, no, allergies are a bitch. They are a pain in the ass sometimes. Unfortunately, it's been kind of like warmerish here, so I'm getting my usual allergies a lot earlier than I should, and it sucks. It just sucks. But like my core idea here, the galaxy brain concept is the idea is that the higher point cost you have a thing, the less people are going to use the thing. So if you have a bunch of lower cost stuff, they're going to use it consistently. So having a cost 1 ability that does 3 damage is you're going to just absolutely use it. You're just going to spam it because it's valuable. It's so too valuable. So action point cost, and that leads us finally to range. Range and effects. So range. Range is dictated entirely. So range is both simple and a bit complicated. The traditional battle map of Nechronica is divided into 5 parts of abstracted fields. Unabstracted fields with each section. Abstracted fields. These individual sections. These individual sections are considered to be one range apart from one another. One another with range 0 being on the section itself. Apart from range 0 being on the section itself. This may when designing range, consider that range 4 is almost the entire map, which is the entire battle map, except from Eden, furthest back to Tartarus, the highest. The lowest to the highest is almost the entire battle map. So even a range of 1 or 2 can easily cross most targets. This also certain range bands can also reduce the effectiveness drastically. So a range 1 to 2 suddenly has far less value as someone trying to rip your head off at range 0 has no threat of you retaliating with that cool weapon, which is a big deal. Like, you bring out the gun that has a range of 1 to 2, you can't hit someone who's going to eat you, like in your map, which can be very small sometimes, because most things are going to gradually move toward limbo, right in the middle. That's where a vast majority of the conflict is going to take place. It would be Elysium, Limbo, and Hades. Those are the three major areas. If you're in Eden, it's because there's a reason to be in Eden. If you're in Tartarus, there's a reason you're in Tartarus. And the reason is usually bad. It is usually a bad idea to be in Tartarus. It is usually a bad idea to be in Eden, unless you have a very specific idea in mind. Junks may want to go to Tartarus because they get a big bonus. but the Alice kind of wants to hang back in Eden because they know they have a benefit there. The sorority really benefits from being in Elysium sometimes, and she can drag everyone back to Elysium. There are very specific contexts for being in each location. This is very dangerous, which is one of the major reasons why we have things like the grid combat system change things so drastically, because in a game where a grenade can take out an entire section, suddenly things get pretty nasty. Things get really nasty, and it gets really complicated. So, when designing range values, like having +1 range to something is actually a pretty big deal. Like 0 to 2 is not a small range. And even like if we were to go into here range wise, like what are the lot of zeros, 0 to 1s, there is exactly 4 parts that deal with anything above 0. So everything else is either 0 to 3, 0 to 2, but you have a 1 to 2, 1 to 2, 1 to 3, and a 2 to 3. The sniper rifle is range 2 to 3. If you are not in Eden, you are probably not going to be using the sniper rifle. If you're in Limbo, it is literally useless. Unless you are kind of like trying to pick people off. So like, that's why sniper rifle, you would think like, oh, it's a sniper rifle. That's pretty good. It's a tier 1 with 2 action points. It's not very useful. And it's like, oh, it's such a big rate. It's not really that powerful. It's actually pretty awful, to be honest. Well, then you have something like the, where was it? Where is a good one? Was a good one. The shotgun at tier 2, which is a range attack 1, but it's 0 to 1. It's the same thing, but it adds explosive. It's pretty damn good. You can do a lot of damage with that. I don't know why shotgun has explosive, not... No, never mind. So... Okay, so the entire battle map. So our final one we need to worry about is the effects. So the effects. So, effects. Effects are what makes the maneuver the maneuver. Effects what makes the maneuver the maneuver. There are many types of effects, and certain ones interact with each other. In different ways. This is just a simple rundown, not anything too hardcore, not to anything too hardcore, just to give you an idea. So, attack, type of attack is, these are divided into unarmed, melee, ranged, and blast. Each of these have different associations with them, mind you. What determines tier? Half the time it's random. Like, honestly. Like, really nothing determines the tier sometimes outside of the higher the tier, the more valuable but specific it is. The lower the tier, you're going to be using it a lot more common, but at higher tiers, they're going to be a lot more valuable. That's usually the drop, the back and forth on it. Is there like a hard and fast way to determine it? Absolutely not. And that's something we have to do here, because this is all setting up to me making a single equation, effectively. So type of attack, these influence other action, these influence other effects as determined by the part. Move X, moving, actually I should say, is moving a target or the self from 1 to moving from 1 or 2 space, 1 or 2 range, target or the self. Like, move is pretty valuable. Like, it's its own, like, very valuable thing. So port, add a +1, add a plus X to a check. I should say is possibly resulting in a critical success, which is very good. Hinder, add a negative X to a check, possibly resulting in a critical failure. And critical failure means you hurt yourself, which could mean ripping your arms off in a fight where all your things are in your arms. Don't do that. Defend, reduce damage by X. Hinder move, reduce move by X. Stagger, reduce, actually I should say is reduce action points by -2. And mind you, there's no like, actually I should say is so a stagger 2. Actually, I'm curious, is there actually I need to Google it, see if I need to find if there's a fucking stagger. So if I go to stagger, no, there is not actually. Zero. Nope, you just make a stagger. That's literally it. There's no like stagger 2 or something like that. That's not an option. Use action points by -2. Always not always paired. This would be dismember. Make a dismemberment check. If failed, if the dismember check fails, all parts in the location are lost. Very valuable. Very valuable, but can be negated. Explosive. Explosive is weird, and explosive is dumb. Always written when the damage applied to the target. And the damage is applied, the target chooses an adjacent location for the damage. Yeah. Choose in adjacent location to the original damage and deal damage again. So if you have explosive 1 and you hit the torso, you can say I'm going to hit you there, and then you also take 1 to your head. This takes place after the damage timing. So area attack. All targets in a section are actually in an area of the battle map are hit by the attack. A chain attack, chain gun. Let's see, attack hits. May make multiple attacks. Attacks X number of times. At times against different targets. That's literally all of the parts there. And that is literally the entirety of Nechronica. I've just explained it to you. Congratulations. You all now learned Nechronica. Hope you're all happy, everybody. Don't worry, it only gets worse from here. So, its action points are very valuable. Range. Divided. These individual sections. Consider that. Consider that. 3 each other, and then I'm going to just select all of you, hit Control-Shift-8, and just put you into bullet points, because I am incredibly lazy, and I can do that. And they may decide to be silly and put them all in order of the Japanese. I am, however, going to put them in order of the English, because let's see, because I speak le English. So we're going to add on some paragraph A to Z. Most of them are going to remain relatively the same, so it's just going to be select you, bold, chain attack, bold, defend, bold, dismember, bold, explosive, bold, hinder, move, bold, move, stagger, support. So I should actually put in an ending. These combined make a part and a maneuver, allowing the doll to perform amazing feats and devastating attacks against her enemies. Making these are a bit more complicated. A bit more complicated, but consult below for the rough equation. So, this is where things are going to get a little bit wonky. Bald. So, this is where things are going to get a bit weird. Because we have all of these parts. Actually, I don't need you really anymore. So, my rough equation is, the corpse manipulation technique. Part calculator equation. The basics of it is going to be, so each part is going to be roughly broken down into a series of part points. Actually, part points, PP. Actually, no, that's a terrible fucking name. Let's see, what would be a good one? See, I wouldn't want to call it corpse points. However, calling it a series of CP would be pretty bad. I don't know about you all, but that seems like a terrible fucking idea. What do I, how do I want to do? Points, value. Yeah, that could work. Series of value point, a series of value points, VPs. And broken down to a series of value points, which dictate command points are a thing. Mr. Y, Mr. Y, my boo-boo. I just comenzado. Comrade, brother. Make sure to calculate your CPs correctly. Sarah points actually works pretty good. The Sarah points. Yeah. It's called context, and sometimes you need to make the right context for certain actions and words. Make sure to calculate your CP, everybody. No, we're not doing that with this. Command and Conquer. Here's some Command and Conquer. Here's some Command and Conquer command points. We call them CP. All right. I mean, fuck it. That works completely. Everyone's fine. Nechronica CP, very different. Very, very different. I'm not bashing you already. You are one of the few, my friend. You are one of the few. Some of them get like, some people get like very caught up in the look. And that's one of the reasons I wrote this. Each part of this is going to be roughly broken down to the Sarah points, which dictate the value of the value of the maneuver /part. allowing a necromancer to custom design their own parts with a rough approximation of value. Will these be perfect? Will these be perfect? Perfect? Absolutely not. But it's better than nothing. So, our big one is gaining Viscera points. So gaining VPs. So gaining VP. Actually, Viscera points. Uh, first things first. A necromancer. Hold me closer. Necromancer. A necromancer has to determine how many Viscera points they are willing to use. They are willing to use. Willing to use and willing and able to use. CMT, corpse manipulation technique, that is actually in canon the process of why everyone isn't dead. It's the corpse manipulation technique, which was, I've been reading too much Nechronica lore. Corpse manipulation technique was founded by an organization who wanted to control the undead and launched a nuclear weapon against everybody. They were killed off screen effectively. Then it kind of leaked out that everyone got it, and that's how the Undead Wars happened. This was before literally they plugged in a computer to solve reality and then found the Demiurge's palace. Yeah, the Chronicle lore is fucking weird. First, willing and are willing and able to use. So, let's see. I just want to find very simply tier, well, let's say tier 1. We'll do tier 1, tier 0. Cost, absolute 0. And what are we working with here? So, not much, but it's like maximum action points. 1, 2. We're not going to usually worry about basic parts, because basic parts, I want them to kind of break the rules a little bit, because they're their own thing. But like adrenaline, enhancement, auto, timing auto, or it's like damage check for a jet nozzle. Or it's like a tail, which is maximum action points. Move 1. Very simple moves. So what I'm going to do, they'll be able to use. By default, the... Actually, this would be the ideal part right here. It'd be right here. Junk part, it would be junk part, that, because it has a range of self, because you're just using it on yourself. This hold could work. Or like first aid kits, like shit like this. It's like, oh. These aren't actually very good. Willing to, first things first, Necromancer has to, by default, with a tier 1, 0 AP part, you will have access to 3 Viscera points. 3 Viscera points. Roughly translate, actually it would be 2 Viscera points. Viscera points, roughly translating to a single bit, roughly translating to not much. Let's see. To gain more of the Viscera points. Viscera points. Gain more VP. To gain more VP, the Necromancer will need. Let's see. They are willing to use by default. Net. the Necromancer. To gain more VP, the Necromancer will need to increase the action point value, action points required, action point cost, or increase the tier of the maneuver. So, increasing AP gains us plus, we'll say +3, actually, no, +2 VP. Increased tier gives us +3 VP, but again, you can only do that twice. So increasing the AP is a little bit more valuable overall, but increasing the tier is a little, you get more out of increasing the tier right away, but you're like, oh, it's tier 2, it's tier 3. You can technically get 6 by just making it tier 3. The unfortunate issue is it doesn't really do much, and you're maybe not being able to use it very often. So increasing the AP is like the most reliable way of doing that. I should actually say, I actually going to do is a problem, which is going to be a flat 224 VP. So, when actually, so we want, increase the tier of the maneuver and problem. I'm going to put a footnote here. So, footnote, the actually developer note. This is for a part that has a negative effect on the doll or some quirk that reduces its effectiveness. So we want to use, we're going to go to tier, we're going to add in all our tiers here, we're going to add in all our costs back just to double check, and we want to use, what's a good one? There's one with area attack, I remember. Where was the one with area attack that I thought was hysterical? He has a very interesting zombie bomb. That was it. That reduces effectiveness. For example, zombie bomb detonates on top of the doll. When it's destroyed, potentially killing the doll immediately. That is literally the context behind it. Is that you are putting in a problem on top of the part. It's a little bit amorphous. All right, see you, Dragon. It promotes something a little bit more complicated to the part, as it says, hey, you now have to worry about something going wrong, and that something wrong is probably going to kill you, or is going to do something like, oh, if this part is damaged, it is instead, you do 2 damage to yourself, kind of thing, or hey, if this does this, I get more, like, oh, if this part is like, oh, if this, as long as this part remains active, something bad happens, or you have -2 maximum AP as long as you have this part, but you have all these bonuses. That's kind of the idea. Like, it's a very increase the value, but there's something wrong going on. It's about spending of Sarah points. Oh, once the Necromancer has the appropriate number of Sarah VP to spend, they are able to start crafting their part to their ideal form. So this is done by spending VP my spending VP, Sarah Poins, spending VP on aspects of the part. So we're going to do something like location. So we're going to start with something on the far end, which is going to be location. Location, where the part is located. Where the part is located. So it's going to be any part is going to have a +1. It's just going to cost 1 VP to put it anywhere, but a specific location is going to cost 0 VP. That's pretty much all you're spending on it there, is say, is it everywhere or is it in a specific part? Which doesn't seem like a lot, but it is important. It allows you to kind of maneuver around and, again, avoid things like dismember, which could potentially be very bad for you. So, timing. Timing. Oh, when does the part trigger? Oh, when can the maneuver properly trigger in the battle phase? So, we're going to do the check. It's going to be, let me just do all the same timings. So our basic timings are going to be auto, which is going to be 2 VP. Actually, no, we need to do, we're going to do 1 VP for that. This one auto is going to be 0 VP. You're going to have to spend for that. So action is going to be 1 VP. Actually, no, action, 0 VP. Check is going to be 1 VP. Damage is going to be 1 VP. And rapid is going to be 2 VP. Now, the context behind this is the context. This is my idea anyway. Auto is normally going to be things that you can automatically do very quickly. These are, if you're going to select an auto move, it's going to be something that is always active and you're always going to be doing it. But it's not going to be like an attack or something. Actually, cannot. Actually, I should do is footnote. Certain effects are not possible. Actually, restricted. I should say restricted effects. So check and damage is pretty valuable. You only get one of them per turn. However, like checking something may be able to guarantee a +1 or +2, which is pretty valuable in a game that's fucking D10 based. It's pretty much a 10 or 20% bonus. And damages allow you to prevent damage or increase your damage. Like there's some significant value. Rapid is 2 because you not only get to be able to trigger something earlier, you also can use that as an action. So it's kind of pulling double duty a lot, which is very good, which is, again, incredibly something that is very valuable to you. So range. How far the maneuver reaches. So, increase maximum range. Increase maximum range by +1, which is going to be 1 VP. Increase minimum range by +1, -1 VP. So pretty much if you want to do a 0, it's going to cost you nothing. That's it. But if you want to do range 0 to 1, it's going to cost you 1. 0 to 2, 2. 1 to 2, 1 to 2, that's going to cost you 1 VP. 1 to 1, you always have to be 1 away, 0. But then you're going to get things like 2 to 3, it's still going to cost you 1 VP, but it's going to be a longer distance. So that's kind of the idea. So increasing maximum, increasing minimum, range by 1, how far the maneuver reaches, starts at range 0. So effects. So effects, choose which effects which effects are present, and how they function. So, we're going to do area attack. Area attack is going to be a flat 3 VP because that's a fairly valuable. Actually, yeah, we'll do 4 VP. That's pretty valuable. And attack. Attack is going to be 1 VP, but is repeatable. Actually, I'm going to say it's 1 VP per. Actually, 1 VP per value. So if you want to do a 3, like I want to do 3 blast damage, it's going to cost you 3. Choice. It's going to be a choice attack, which is going to be anything you really want it to be. If you want it to be if you want to do unarmed, it's going to be one thing. Melee, you have to choose. You have to buy them separately. You can't have them all. Actually, I should put that as a note. So, footnote, bought separately. Actually, only one type can be chosen. So attack, so then we have to go down to chain attack, which is going to be 2 VP per value, which you can increase it pretty significantly, and do chain attack 2, chain attack 3, chain attack 4, which 4 is going to be 8. How are you going to get 8 VP? It's probably going to be high up there. Dismember. Dismember is going to be 3 VP. Actually, we can bump that up to 4 VP, which is going to be 3 VP. That's very valuable. Pretty valuable, but can be pretty easily blocked. And let's see, defend. Defend is going to be 1 VP of value. Because 1 defend is pretty good. So dismember. Actually, no. Defend, dismember, explosive. Explosive is going to be 4 VP. Explosive is pretty good. Hinder is going to be 2 VP of value. Then we can do, actually, no. 1 VP value. Then we're going to do stagger, which is going to be just a flat, I'm feeling 3 VP. And then support, which is also going to be 1 VP value. And then what we'll refer to these as is additional effects, which is going to be 1 to fucking bug 1 to actually we'll do 0 to 3, actually 0 to 5 VP, because those can be pretty valuable. So that is the equation of how to make a move. You may be wondering, well, what do you mean that's not an equation? The answer is it is an equation. It's a little bit more, we'll call it direct then. But you determine pretty much the number of Viscera points you get. And once you choose the number of Viscera points you get, then you start spending them. So what we need to do is we are going to design a part. Right here, right now. We're going to design a part. Mostly to see if this actually functions properly. So I'm like 99% sure it will. I just need to double check. So we're going to go here and we're going to select this. We're going to put it right here and we're going to call it what kind of, let me think, what kind of ability do we want to make? What is underrepresented? You know what? You know, let's make a firearm. Just because firearms are really simple and we don't have to think about it too hard. What do we want to make? What kind of weapon do we want to make? We want to make something really silly. Oh, I know. We'll make a Tesla cannon. No. I know what we can do. No. We'll make a Tesla archer. There we go, a Tesla Archer. Cool. So, obviously we're going to be action. We're going to select it our arms. So, already, our Viscera points. So, how many default Viscera points are we going to have? We're going to have 2, I should ask, we're going to have cost 0, range self so far, with a timing of 0, with a timing of just default action. So, first things first. I have to determine our base parts. This is going to be, I kind of have an idea, but we're going to say we're going to make it 2A, we're going to make it 3 AP. So by our default 2, we are going to have 6 AP, so we're going to have 8 AP to really spend. But we want to make this a tier 1. So we're going to make this 3 to use. And we don't need this anymore. So we have 8 points to spend. That's our big thing right now. We have 8 VPs. 8 VP to spend on what we wish. So let's build a Tesla arcing cannon that we can shoot at people to electrocute them. So specific location is a specific location. We're going to say that's going to be our arms, and that means it's going to be 0 VP. Just right off the bat, we don't have to spend jack shit. Timing, we want this to be an action, so that's going to, so timing is going to be an action for 0 VP. And our range, I think we want our range to be fairly far, so we're going to do our range is going to be with 1 to 2, so that's going to be 2 VP. Right off the bat, we're already down 6. So, our effects. So, we are going to do area. I think we're going to do an area. Actually, do we want to do a chain attack, or do we want to do an area attack? I'm feeling a chain attack. So, what we're going to do is we're going to do an attack 2, ranged, and we're going to do chain attack 3. So, this would be 6. So, no, we do chain attack 2, which would be 4. So, that's pretty much it. Unless we decide to chain attack 1, that means we can attack 1 additional person. And then we go for... Unless we go for something like stagger. Stagger reduce the value by 3 VP. So if we started with 8, go down to 6, invest in 2, would go down to 4, go down to 1. So we can increase it. Do we have anything that's worth 1 value? We got the equation up and running. Currently, I know what we can do is we can add an additional effect. So additional effect, if the target is reduced to 0 or less AP. Actually, no, that's not a very good one. Actually, we'll do an additional effect. The next maneuver by a sister will have support +1 if acting against the target of this attack. There you go. So you just get a +1 to your move as long as you are attacking this person. This is what we got. So what this would look like is, so Tesla Archer is going to cost 3. It's only going to be tier 1 though. So luckily I'm just going to do that right here. So tier 1. It's very expensive though. That's kind of the idea. Range 0 to 2. Range 0 to 2, and the effects are, so attack 2, range. So it's going to be range attack 2, stagger, and then And attack 2 stagger, and then the next mover by a sister will have +1 support if acting on this target. And let me check the stagger. Unarmed attack 2, 1 stagger 3. So we have to compare it to the net gun. Range attack 1 stagger. Cost additional 2 AP. So yeah, that's pretty good. 2 melee attack 1 stagger, but you also for this one, it's tier 2 ball and chain, but you also have 0-1. So you're pretty much just working with 6, then 3. It's not really right. Ball and chain, I guess, isn't. Do we reduce the value of increasing it by 1? I mean, if like we can decrease the value like this. Do 2 AP, 2 VP, so you would be getting a max of 4 VP by increasing the tier, and 2 VP by increasing the cost by 1. Because then you'd have like hand cannon 1, cost 2, range attack 1, 0-1. So 1, 2. Unless we increase this by 1 to 2, 1, that could work. Just AP just gives you 1 extra VP. So if we do that, if 1 just gives you 1 extra VP, so our 3 AP, so we'd have 5 VP right off the bat. 2, 1, so 2 stagger would be. So that would be 5. That would bring us down to 3. Attack 1, range attack 1, and stagger would bring us down to -1, unless we do something like this. That would equal us out. It would be range 0-1, attack 1, stagger with this effect. So if we're going with this one, it would be, we'd have to reduce the range down a little bit, and we'd have to reduce the damage by 1. But we get the stagger effect, and that's the useful part. We want to stagger them. Then the next move of the sister will have the support of +1 if acting on target of this target. Alright. Crackling device. With arcing electricity. A designated weapon of war. A designated weapon of war for a new age. Okay, so yeah, that could work. It's not great, but it costs a lot for not that much damage. I think that's the balancing factor. So okay. So if we post this right here, the entire idea. No, go away. I don't need you, Microsoft fucking Edge. So our Tesla Archer. Because if we use the Tesla Archer, the entire idea would be that you're kind of spending a lot of AP for the attempt to reduce their AP kind of thing. With the idea of like the next maneuver a sister uses it will have a support +1 if acting against target of this type. You're pretty much locking them down, saying you aren't going anywhere. Ha ha ha! I am a monster. Technically, I could even remove the range attack 1. That would actually wouldn't be too remiss either. Make it rapid instead, but I think this should work. I'm not entirely confident, but it is at least something better than nothing. I'll have to ask them about the valuations here, but I'm like 99% sure this should work. Actually, I should say, effects, I should say, is add plus one, I should say, action points. Action points have just 2 VP. So plus one, plus one action points, I should say, is like, four plus one action points, which is just default. It's nice to have, like, you don't really need to do anything. And restricted, actually I should say, is restricted effects. Restricted effects, we're going to do action points, defend, defend, and additional effects. Additional effects, support, and hinder. Like, if you're designing an auto move, you're kind of doing your own thing. So, okay, I think this should work. I'll fix everything up to make it look pretty, but that's that pretty much. The numbers here are going to need some changes, but in theory, this should work and should be kind of how it's supposed to feel. It's not flawless by any stretch of the imagination, but it should be the difference between just like winging and just changing part values to actually having something to base it around of like, here are why these are the way they are. Here's what stagger means. Stagger is really useful because stagger just reduces AP, but you still need to hit. But the entire idea of like the Tesla Archer is that you're supposed to make things easier to hit. So it's kind of like a setup move, but you can use it 0 to 1, and then maybe, oh no, you can only use it from like, oh no, someone's out of range, you gotta move up, oh no, oh no. And maybe you can, start comboing some certain effects together. And I don't want to go over every effect because some of the effects are very particular, or they're like very thematically, that's why I have the additional effects thing there, which is for very thematic moves that aren't really like super appropriate for me to be like, well, this is a calculated effect. Like, no, I don't think that's appropriate. But I believe that is that. That was the Notecromancer's Guide to Dolls. This was kind of an odd duck of a project overall. I think the major thing with it boiled down mostly to how do you tear apart a game more than anything. How do you take this such surgical precision and just rip something apart? And I think I added a lot of things. I think I'm proud of the aptitude system. I think that's my most like thing that I'm happy with. I would say that probably it could use a little bit more work, but it works. Like, considering I added something and try to keep it as thematically appropriate as possible is a little bit complicated. I think the advanced health system could use a little bit more work to make it really sing. But yeah, no, I think everything worked pretty well. I think the additions were a lot easier than I thought they would be. So that's why I kind of spend a little bit more time working on the back end of it. I would say probably the most cursed part. The grid combat works a little bit too well, honestly. I think the most cursed part, like the thing that I'm like, this like barely functions. Where was it? I think the extended battle maps. I think these are just cursed. Like, this is the extended battle map. Like, I think they work perfectly fine. Like, that's the worst part. They work fine. It's just weird, and it doesn't want to work the way I want them to. These ones also work fairly well for what they are. Like, they're just items that you pick up and that you can just burn away because you suck and everyone hates you. But yeah, I'm gonna call it there. So what's on the menu for me? What's on the your boy Notepad's life and times? Well, two things. You got a few things actually lined up. The most notable of which is that I am going to be doing the Thirsty Sword Lesbians Advanced Lovers and Lesbian stream tomorrow at noon EST. Be there or be square. Am I going to be like excited to do that one? Absolutely not. That is going to break me emotionally and physically because I read through every single one of the 21 settings, and holy shit, they are all bad. But there are some that are redeemable. I will say that there are some of those that can be redeemed, and you should look at them because they're actually not bad. They're just kind of in a shitty situation. Um, let me think. Let me think. Uh, for the next week, I have two things planned because I'm kind of taking a break just for the holidays because holidays kind of get weird for everybody. My two things I have planned for next week is probably on like Tuesday or something like that. I am debating on actually running through a 5e adventure called The Executioner's Daughter, which is apparently a solo game, kind of like a solo module. And apparently it is, and I do quote, fucking cursed. So I need to read through that and see what I can find about it. Since it's fucking 5e, I might literally try to adapt it to a different system. Simply just run it because I want to experience the nightmare. If I'm going to experience it, so are you. What's the other one that for next Thursday, I might run through just some little stuff, just having fun. I don't really think it's going to be that much. It's like, I might do like an end of the year, like, this is the wrap up of everything we did. This is how we're going to work. The big thing, though, is depending on if everything goes according to plan, the 26th, Boxing Day, Sunday, actually, Sunday after Christmas, I will probably do a stream. And that stream is going to be very long. Because what I'm going to do in that stream is I am going to finish everything. I am going to finish Fleshback Annihilator. I am going to finish High Fleet. And I am going to finish everything else that I can think of. And what does that actually mean? That means I am going to quite literally spend the entire day working on shit. And I'm just going to power through everything I can. And it is going to be a very long, very nightmarish stream that is going to be a couple hours long minimum of me copy pasting and me fixing things. And it's simply because I said, like, I'm going to finish this year. I'm going to finish this year. I'm going to finish it this year. This next week as well, I'm going to try to finish the KNS video. That's the big thing. Like, this next week is almost going to be entirely dedicated to the KNS video. The audio is done. The video is ready to go. It's just having to be me sitting down and doing it. And it's going to be long. I'm going to split it up into 3 chunks because that's roughly how I organized it. Because each chunk is about a little bit longer than an average video of mine by itself. And there are 5 technical chunks, so I just need to sit down. It's going to take me hours to do this. It's going to be annoying as fuck. But I said I'd try to get that out by Christmas, and that's my goal for this next week. Hence one of the reasons why I'm not going to do like a lot of streaming or anything. So yeah, that is the kind of the plan for Notepad. And come January, once kind of the insanity dies down of the holiday season, I will begin the process of starting back up on Satan War Snakeskin. That'll be our next big project, which I have the idea, I know how I want to do it, sort of, and it's just about doing it. So, with that, I'm going to call it there. Godspeed, good luck. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. We are almost at 3 hours, so I'm going to write out the clock for 30 seconds just so I can say I did a 3-hour stream. There's literally no other reason. It's just going to be 30 seconds of dead air almost, because I want to get 3 hours because I'm a very petty person. God. 3. Oh, jeez. 3, 2. Oh, God. That's my back. That's my back. All right. I'm actually